Hi, my name is Brian Meeker, and this is my statement of teaching philosophy. It's my belief that as educators, we should be offering instruction to the widest range of students possible, whether that's by simply providing an open, safe environment, using differentiated instruction, or in my case as a science teacher, trying to use inquiry to inspire students so that they're not simply memorizing facts, but they actually want to do science. So when I'm talking about a safe environment, what do I mean? For me as an instructor, I'm talking about an open, welcome, and respectful environment in which students feel like they can express their ideas and opinions without being ridiculed by their classmates. Now in science, there's going to be some disagreements and some debate, but that's all part of the process, and my students need to feel that they can say and express themselves in any way that they want. Now, in terms of differentiated instruction or differentiation, I've had a great deal of experience with this. In your typical classroom, you're going to have students with all sorts of abilities. You may have English language learners, you may have students with disabilities, you may have students who are just going to be a little bit difficult. It's important to try to reach out to all of these students and provide them with materials and resources they can use to learn. So on a quiz or test, that may mean that your smarter students get some extension questions. Your students with disabilities get some lines to help them write. They get a graph instead of a blank piece of paper. Your students who are English language learners might have directions repeated. They might have it written on the board so they can follow along with the words. All of these offer your students different ways to succeed, and I believe they're important. Finally, but most importantly to me as a science educator, is the use of inquiry in the classroom. Now, some students may struggle with this, as they may have gotten used to the idea of the teacher giving the information and the student just repeating it back, but inquiry actually makes our students do science. I had a lab that I had students do where I gave them some termites and I gave them different things to test, and I said, all right, go. And my students kind of looked at me and were confused because there were no explicit directions, no explicit procedure, no explicit end result. And they had to come up with their own scientific question, their own scientific procedure, their list of materials, they had to run it, they had to devise their own sort of data collection, they had to analyze the results, make their conclusions, and I had a very limited role except to kind of facilitate the resources in the room. The students were frustrated at times, but in the end they were actually doing science instead of simply repeating a lecture I could give on termites. Inquiry is a very powerful resource in the classroom, and while it can be difficult to incorporate into your lessons, as I can certainly attest, the end result is absolutely worth it. So in the end, I believe that my classroom needs to be an open, safe environment. I believe in differentiated instruction and breaking it down for however the student will learn and offering them as many resources and materials as I can, tutoring if that's an option. And finally, inquiry I believe is important. I think that for too long, science instructors have kind of resorted to I'm going to talk at you and you need to just repeat it back on the test. And that's not learning, that's just memorizing. We want our students to learn, we want our students to be inspired, and I think inquiry is the way to do that. So, thank you for listening. This has been my statement of teaching philosophy.